IPMNation.com.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you're listening to All Natural Being. I want to take this opportunity. I'm Brian. I want to take this opportunity for thank you for stopping by, clicking on, tuning in, however you got here. Thanks for hanging out on the #1 rated show on IPM Nation 3 months in a row now. 3 months ago today, and then yesterday when we were talking about it, I was talking to Matt back at IPM. He goes, "Oh, it is 3 months tomorrow because we started on April Fool's Day because no one thought it was really going to be a show. All your friends thought it was a joke." So 3 months ago today was April Fool's Day. And so we're still here 3 months later. And since its debut, we've been the #1 show. And as you know, I think we're the #1 show because it's a show about you. Why wouldn't you make the show #1? It's a show about you. It's like your own show. We're also on iTunes, and I want to thank you very much for that. All the different places that you can find us. Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Also the rebroadcast at 11 a.m. and then 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you very much for that. I have to tell you, I was at a meeting yesterday with a group of people, and one of the people in the meeting said, if Brian won $100 million in the lottery tonight, I guess there's a big drawing tonight, $100 million in the lottery, he would get up and do the same thing Monday morning. He would do it all over again because it's a passion of mine. Now, quick little programming note. We won't be doing it this coming Monday. It's a big holiday for me, the 4th of July. My daughter turns 13, so we're just planning a nice big weekend celebration. That, maybe there'll be some fireworks, who really knows. But for her 13th birthday, we're going to take the day off and kind of just spend it hanging out and running around. But that said, even if I won 250, whatever it is, $billion, $1 trillion on the lottery, I would get up and do this same thing most Mondays, but I'll be doing the same thing on a Tuesday morning because it really is a passion of mine. I truly am fired up. I'm thrilled to be spending an hour with you, reminding you that you're not built for retreat. That you're most certainly not built for calling it a draw in life. A draw. Who would call it a draw? Not you. Because I don't think you're built to take a backseat to anybody, anything, at any time. Now it's become a popular little habit of mine to mention that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist, not a podiatrist, I'm not a therapist, a licensed clinical social worker. I'm none of those things. But what am I? What am I? I'm a fan of yours. And I'm on your side, even in those times of absent-mindedness, let's say that. Even when you're absent-minded, even when you've forgotten who you truly are, who you are at square one. Rumi's quote, the root of your soul. Even when you've forgotten that. Even when you're just melancholy or down. I haven't forgotten who you are. And especially in those moments when you doubt who you truly are, look in your corner. I'll be there. Because I'm interested in one thing. And I'm very passionate about it, which allows me to kind of chuckle. Because I'm interested in the answer that you offer. And I'm interested in doing anything I can do to work with you to kind of groove this particular answer. But I'm interested in the answer to a simple, yet I think staggeringly profound question. You ready? Who are you? An all-natural being, my little attempt at a radio show here, is my opportunity to remind you of who you are, to break your current self-imposed boundaries, and to explore the exotic, the euphoric within you, to push your mind where it belongs, to its cognitive cutting edge. Forget all the commonplace, all the spiritual sabotage that holds us down and back. I'm here to remind you that at any moment you have the ability to demand the very best of life, of yourself, of your surroundings. You have the right to absolutely demand the very best version of yourself. You can choose the euphoric life anytime you like. And that's why I'm here, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m., to suggest you take an evolutionary leap back to your original depths, back to your primal. A lot of people don't like that word. Oh, primal. I love that word. Back to your square one, to your native, authentic parts, back to who you truly are, to your all-natural being. Now, if you're currently estranged from your all-natural being, it happens. What are you going to do about it? If it's been a while since you've tapped into your home base, if it seems normal to second-guess yourself, to go, oh, I don't know if I can pull that off, well, you and I need to take care of that, because it may be normal, it may be habituated, but it's certainly not natural. So it's my goal with all natural being that we're going to reset your mindset. What is it? I said a couple days ago, I'd love it if you had a little placard, a little 3x5 card, a small little post-it note that says, under new management. Because that's my calling. That's my hope in this show, that we'll resuscitate your all-natural resilience, your intrepidness. We're going to revive your thick skin and the authentic girth of your backbone. It's time to get your grit back. Time to get you back in the groove. It's time to restore your core. And as I say, we may have forgotten about it. That's okay. Stuff happens. Shift happens in the labyrinth. We may forget from time to time that you are a force of nature. And your higher power, your divine, however you decipher, however you decode and define it, it's waiting for you to rally. It's waiting for you to remember who you are. It doesn't, however, again, big bang, big breath, don't care, you should, I don't. Your opinion of how this all kicked off isn't important to me, but it's life-affirming to you. So however you decide, however you define, spirituality, scientific, whatever you want to do, your higher power is waiting. It's counting on you to rally and to remember who you are. It's counting on you to remember you are a rare breed. So a second question I like to ask is, why settle for a farce of a life when you're a force of nature? Why settle for a watered-down version of yourself? Why? Even though we're not built for surrender, we're not built to settle for second place. Becomes normal. What are you going to do? It's just apathy. What's to get all worked up about? Well, there's everything to get all worked up about. So I have a question. Is today the day you stand up for yourself by reaching back to who you truly are? It says, oh, I've got to grow. I need to be a higher spiritual being. You're never getting any higher of a spiritual being than the spiritual being you were born with. So ignore all the mashugana. Ignore your critics. The chorus of all those people. Oh, right? Misery loves company. And just because they're addicted to their own agitation, their own apathy, just because they dig hanging out in the backwaters of their own minds, just because they dig it, they want you to jump on the pessimism bandwagon, or the bandwagon of blah. Let me just ask, is today, and maybe the 4th of July is a holiday in some parts of the world, here in the States for sure, coming up on the 4th of July, if we took a 3-day weekend, is this weekend the weekend we stop acting like our critics have control of the joystick in our lives? Because remember, If we allow the negative opinions, the negative looks, the negative attitudes of someone else to penetrate us, then we have to raise our hand and go, all right, I'm the co-conspirator. Right? It's not like they're getting to do this without our permission and our assistance, so just admit it. You're committing a conspiracy. You know, from my days in law enforcement, a conspiracy when two or more people get together, they plan an act, and then they take a step in the commission of that act, you got yourself a conspiracy. So if you let these words of another person in, you're going to point the finger at. We can say, oh, you know, that was just brutal. Whoa, yeah, great. Then why did you let it in? Why do we continue to carry the baggage of the people that are betting against us? They're a huge fan of all the baggage, all the self-defeating beliefs. Let them play bellman. Let them lug the baggage around. So coming into this 3-day weekend, no more brainwashing. No more brainwashing from an outside source or even from yourself. No more blind spots. No more amnesia. It's my goal this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you're listening, to rally the rare breed within you. Because your confidence is about to make a huge comeback. We're going to call your all-natural being back to life, and we're going to learn specifically how we can do it. So no more plastic fruit. No more styrofoam peanuts or some other type of inauthentic packaging material. We're going to spit them out. Because you and I know what it takes to be great. So is this weekend the weekend we stopped acting like we don't? I don't know. Oh, there's keys, there's tricks, there's secrets, all these things to happiness, Brian. No, you absolutely know in your heart that's not true. We're talking about dovetailing your heart and your head. So no more masquerading. No more hiding. You're here to wow the crowd, to steal the show, to manifest your destiny, to live up to your end of the bargain. I believe you were placed here. You were put here. You were dropped here. You brokered a deal to be brought here to manifest your destiny. Is this weekend the weekend you live up to that? One of the critiques that I get from time to time is we should do more current events on the show. We should do more breaking news. Well, one of the things is, I spend a lot of time out in the middle of nowhere. I spent a lot of time out in the middle of nature. So over a handful of years, decades, I was labeled a survival expert. So a lot of the people that will email me, don't forget 331-684-7685 or 331-684-SOUL. You can hit me on Facebook. You can hit me on Twitter. What else could you do? Oh, you could go to allnaturalbeing.com. Leave me an email. I'll trade you mine. We'll hook up that way. But one of the questions I ask is, you don't do a lot of more survival stuff anymore. Well, ultimately for me, All Natural Being is the epitome of survival. I remember years ago, Shepard Smith from Fox News, they had me on and I was talking about the bridge collapse in Minneapolis. I believe it was one afternoon, people driving home, if my memory serves. All of a sudden, the bridge collapses. Gone. And I remember Shepard was there, and I think at the time I was in Tampa, so they wanted me to do a satellite remote and talk about, is there anything that could have been done in advance? Now, I'm not a structural engineer, so I said, I don't know what could have been done in advance to save the bridge, right? Maybe check it out more, do this or that. But as an individual, what could people listening to this show now? Their hearts are broken. They lost family members. People from all over the country tuning in. I remember Shepard said, great, but, what's that going to do for us now? You know how Shepard can be. What's that going to do for us now? I said, well, we can prepare for whatever uncertainty the future throws at us. And I still believe, jumping forward to today, talking about current events in the news, the terrorist attack, the cowardly attack in Istanbul, Well, the 20-second victory that you and I work on every day that we're hanging out together. Breathe in, exhale, scan your horizon, take action. In any emergency situation, in any survival situation, in any occurrence in the labyrinth, it still works the same way. Breathe in, exhale, scan your horizon, check your 6, figure out what your senses are throwing at you, and then you take action. Then you tap into the energy. I found it fascinating. One of the videos, a patrolman, a cop, a security guard, whoever it was, armed as they were, apparently shoots, if you look at the video, shoots one of the terrorists and then runs up, I'm assuming, to handcuff him, to further subdue him. And you can see in the video, he, in an instant, recognizes that the guy's wired with a vest, a suicide vest. So he jumps up, sprints, and just a few seconds later, the terrorist detonates the bomb, the vest. But the cop lives. The cop had the presence of mind. Even as crazed as everything was going on around him, he had the presence of mind. I'm sure he was breathing. I'm sure he scanned his horizon. I'm sure as soon as he got up there, ready to effect the arrest, he didn't have so much tunnel vision. He wasn't so focused on the goal that he missed the vest, missed the guy fumbling around for his trigger switch. He was able to get up in the moment, in an instant, get away, saved his life. Now, there may not be as many occasions where it's as dramatic as that. May not be a bridge collapse. May not be a terrorist attack. But there will be situations throughout your day where you're presented by something. If you go, I'm going to breathe in, I'm going to exhale. And we know just from the physiology of it, right? We take that deep breath in, yes? What does that say to the fight or flight or freeze or focus? As you know, I add the fourth F. What does that say to our fight or flight or freeze? What does that say to our body? Well, he's taking a deep breath. Can't be all that traumatic. Well, she's inhaling. She's got a nice exhaling coming. May not be as scary as we think. Once we take that breath, we no longer have tunnel vision, right? Our eyes in the fight or flight are designed to hone in on the threat right then. Well, this cop in the airport, his tunnel vision wasn't such that all he could think of, got to get my handcuffs. Oh my God, I just shot this guy. Am I going to get in trouble for shooting this guy? Where's the gun? Does he have an accomplice nearby? Am I going to get shot? Let me get him handcuffed. Could have been thinking of all that and totally ignored the vest. Totally ignored. Whatever the reason was that he became aware in that instant where he checked his 6, he checked the sensory information coming in, whatever it was. Who knows? I haven't heard any of the interviews. Maybe the bad guy said something to him. Maybe he saw the vest. Maybe he saw I don't know. But I can tell you he checked his senses. Then he took action. What did he do? He bolted. Saved his life. So you and I, in any situation that we're confronted with, breathe in, exhale. Once we do that full circle of breath, we don't have tunnel vision anymore. We can see the periphery. We can see a little bit of the bigger picture. Then we take action. So if I had to tie the 20-second victory into a current event or current events, that's what it would be. And then when we train ourselves to do this, it's a skill we never lose. So if we train ourselves to do it now with a phone call that maybe we don't want to take, or an email that we get that we're not fired up about, or maybe we get a text, or we're having a brawl with a loved one for whatever reason. Well, if we practice it now, then when it's really life-threatening, if you ever find yourself in that situation, if it's really life-threatening, your mind's going to go, I got this. Breathe in, exhale. Let me see what's going on around me. Then I'll take action. So the 20-second victory works. And if you and I begin to incorporate it into our daily routines, right, when we bring that mental grit, that cognitive cutting edge to the grind, whatever the grind is, whatever the nuts and bolts and the rough and tumble of the here and now bring, then we're prepared for it. So you may want to keep that in mind. It's going to save you emotionally. It's going to save you spiritually from time to time. And the best acronym might also save your life in a wild situation. All right, another current event, another story in the news I'd like to talk about, Michael Phelps. Now, I think I read where he's going back. It makes him the first male swimmer to compete in 5 Olympics. 5 Olympics. How amazing is that? And as soon as I saw that, it made me think back to 2012 in London. He was doing an interview. And if I remember correctly, he had just won like 21 medals. I think it was his 21st medal. And he jumps out of the pool, and he's still dripping. He can barely breathe, and a reporter, someone from NBC shoves a microphone in his face. And they ask him, what does this mean? And he said, and I've never forgotten, he said, I've always wanted to be the first at something. And tonight, I became the first Michael Phelps. Think about that. I always said I wanted to be the first at something, and tonight I became the first Michael Phelps. And when I heard that, I did like a double take. Because think about that for a moment. His crowning achievement was to become himself the first the first Michael Phelps. All the titles, all the medals, all the wins, all the sucking down of the chlorine in the pool. And what moved him the most was becoming the very first Michael Phelps. It's as if he always knew he would be successful, that his latent talents, combined with his resourcefulness, tenacity, his grit, you mix all those things together, it was absolutely going to manifest his destiny. He would, without a doubt, and this is what he was fired up about. He was fired up because he simply became himself. I became the first Michael Phelps, and I've never forgotten that. So obviously good luck to him and all the other people competing in the Olympics. But let me ask you, what's it going to take for you to be the first you, the first true you, no one else ever in the history of the planet could be the true you? Only you can be the true you. So what's it going to take? I also wanted to throw this in. Then we'll get to the anaerobic aphorism. We'll get to the segments and everything else that I want to do in today's show. But it was probably a month or so ago, it all kind of blurs together, some of these emails. But I got an email from someone offering to teach you how to own the room. And it was the thing about charisma. They had a program where they would teach you everything it took so you could own the room. You'd be charismatic. Make sure when you walk in, everyone wants to know what's going on. And I thought about that. And I thought about the only room you need to own is the room between your 2 ears. The room between the base of your skull and your forehead. That's the only room. Once you own that room, you're like a giant magnet walking around. And when you look at the definition of charisma, what do they say? It's a compelling attractiveness or a charm that inspires others. But if you look at the root meaning, the origin, the etymology of the word, it comes from charis. And it's a word in ancient Greek that meant favor or grace. Grace. So charisma has a little bit of the divine in it, however you define it. And you and I would talk about it all the time. The universal pristine, and then your individual packet of that pristine. The universal grace, your individual packet of that grace, however you define it. Universal energy. I still like pristine because it's unconditioned, it's untainted, it's untouched. But your original energy, of which you're a packet of, when you channel that, no wonder other people are attracted to it. No wonder people find you charismatic. When you own the gray matter, some of the white matter, but the gray matter of your own mind, your own brain, when you own who you are, when you channel your all-natural being, why wouldn't that make you charismatic? Own the room. A joke. Because when you own the area of your own mind, people are attracted to it because subconsciously, in my opinion, subconsciously, they recognize that. They recognize that feeling of the connection. And they're connected to you because you're connected to the universal pristine. That's all charisma is. Oh, well, you got to walk with a book on your head. You got to say words right. You got to make eye contact. You got to saunter, meander, stroll, whatever. Almost nodded off there. But if charisma is simply the channeling of a divinely conferred power or a talent, whatever it is, doesn't matter. When you own the room of your own mind, that's what people are drawn to. And between you and me, if you think about it, it's our most valuable asset. Our most important tool is the memory of who we are. Then you've got charisma. Own the room. You've got charisma nailed. So before we get to the anaerobic aphorism, which is all about charisma, right? As I said, well, let's just do it real quick, and then I'll come back to another concept. But charisma, a cognition that truly remembers who it is. And I was stunned because most times you throw these things up on Facebook, you get a good number of people that like them or share them. But this one just seemed to kind of hang out there yesterday. They get a lot of people commenting, a lot of people looking at it. I don't think, maybe one or two people, if that, shared it. Because everyone wants to buy into this bag of tricks. Everyone wants to say, oh no, that's not charisma, Brian. You have to have a manicure. Your hair has to be cut just right. Oh, please. Has nothing to do with charisma. Matter of fact, you look at people that other people are drawn to, some celebrities of whatever sort. My grandmother used to say, oh, you're dressed to the nines. Well, you look at some of these people, oh, they're a real trendsetter. They're not worried about their manicures. You have true charisma, you're not worried about how you look. Not at all. Charisma, a cognition that truly remembers who it is. Because when you remember who you are, that's what people are drawn to. So here's the little thing I would say. It comes down to the difference between potions and notions. Oh, I have a thing. Let's teach you. What was it? A spoonful of medicine. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, or the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. I have that left over from a childhood memory, right? Maybe you do too. Nothing to do with charisma. So enough potions. No more potions. When it comes to charisma, when it comes to owning who you already are, once you get there, you're not going to care if anyone else is attracted to you. But let's just say that you still are. Charisma, then, it's the notion, not a potion. It's a notion. It's the notion of who you truly are at your core. And when you know who you truly are at your core, as I like to say, the nuts and bolts, the rough and tumble of the here and now, you know you can handle it. What are you going to do? And that confidence is magnetic. And that's what people are drawn to. So if for whatever reason you don't feel like people are drawn to you, if I may be so bold, it's because you're not drawn to yourself. Remember, it's about personal style, not fashion. Who gives a crap about fashion? Who really cares? Not me. I care about your style. Oh, don't my shoes look nice? They're polished. I don't give a crap. Everyone wants six-pack abs. Can't go on the internet anymore without, how about six-pack abs? How about six-pack minds? How about ripped minds? How about no cognitive cellulite? How about no packing on philosophical calories? No more potions. No more potions. When you're attracted to who you are, you can't beat people away with a broom handle. Swoosh, whoosh, away, away. It's like running around with no shirt on in the Everglades. Mosquitoes everywhere. When you have that sense of confidence, when you have that charisma, where you own the room in your mind before you ever walk into another room, game's over. You win. Of course, once you get to that point, you don't care if you win or not, right? So I guess that's a little bit of it. But you don't care if you win or not, but you win. That's charisma. And that's our anaerobic aphorism for today. All right, let's get to the 4 segments of today's show, which, oh, man, here we go. We're halfway through. We'll rip through them real quick, and we'll see what we get to in the final 30 minutes. Oh, and I should probably, you know what, let me do this too. I can get a quick sip of water. Hold on.
IPMNation.com.
There you go, bottom of the hour, IPMNation.com. Independent, provocative, mobile. All right, segment number 1, I'm calling Creativity and Clarity. Calming yourself down from the Mardi Gras of your mind. Segment number 2, Emotional Freedom and the Malicious Mind. Talk again about 20-second victories. Segment number 3, segment, dope. Segment number 3, it figures the one thing I have written down are the words segments, and those are the words that it's written right in front of me. Segment number 3, the sweet success of control. The sweet success of control versus saying yes to yourself. Number 4, the sounds of silence. Give your brain a break. So you know what? Let's do this. Let's do segment number 4, because just in case we're out of time, let's do that one first. This truly is a message that I think everyone needs to hear, and it's ironic because this message is about not hearing anything. But just stick with me with this. All right, so a bunch of different studies, a bunch of different doctors. Part of the critique is, well, you should mention the doctors' names. All right, so let me get a couple of these. The first doctor, so that people will know, I'm just not making this stuff up. Bernardi, same name as my high school football coach. Dr. Bernardi did a study. It's in PubMed, NCBI. The sound of silence is music to the heart. Okay, then I want to jump ahead. Another doctor, another brilliant human being. Imke, I'm hoping is the way the name is pronounced. Kirst. Imke Kirst asks, is silence golden? Subtitle, effects of auditory stimuli and their absence. The effect of the absence of sound in terms of neurogenesis. So here's what all these cool studies, as New York Magazine called it, shut up and bask in the silence. What doctors now in multiple studies are finding. You know, we're going to get this app. I just got an email this morning. Someone wanted to sell me another, some vibrational, universal, deep core vibrations. You can play this music in your ears. Well, you know what doctors are finding now? It's complete silence. That not only is great for your heart, not only great for huge systems in your body, but it actually helps rebuild and regenerate neurons in your brain. You know what that sound is? Cue the crickets. Absolute silence. And the first doctor I mentioned, Dr. Bernardi, does a test where he wants to try all these different songs. So he straps people up, all kinds of electrodes and monitors and the like. And then there's like a peak, let's say, in one of the monitors. And then when he looks at all the peaks, he goes, wait a minute, there wasn't any music playing. Hello, McFly. If you remember Back to the Future, hello, McFly. Anybody in there? What he found was, it was the silence between the songs that was hooking everybody up, helping everybody out. And then you go on to another study and said, well, that peace and quiet, not only was it great in terms of helping with stress and everything else, but it actually causes portions of your brain. So let me get down here, because it took me like 35 minutes to get through just this one, because some of these words I have no clue. So let me see. Quote, our results indicate that the unnatural, their words, not mine, should have been abnormal, but their words, the unnatural absence of auditory input, and they talk about in the case of silence, led to a greater number of newborn immature neurons. Whereas ambient noise, background auditory stimuli do not. So when we talk about neuroplasticity, when we talk about the ability of the brain to continue to rewire itself, well, apparently now if you just sit down and shut up. That's my new favorite saying, sit down and shut up. Although I don't like the term shut up. I've never used that. I was going to say, I've never told another human being to shut up. Now I'm telling everybody listening. Sit down and shut up, I guess. So let me say that to myself so I can keep my track record of never having said that to another human being. If you were here, you would overhear me. And I'd be saying, all right, so doctors now are telling me, sit down and shut up. I dig it. That's a function of the 20-minute victory. Why wouldn't I be fired up about this report? New York Magazine, The Science of Us, which you know, I dig reading that. Talking about the need of taking a breather. It says here, 2 hours of silence per day prompted cell development in the hippocampus region of the brain, where memories are formed. Quote, silence was, in fact, better than music for creating new brain cells. The article, written by Tanya Basu, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that name, Basu, says this is huge. Says that silence can be downright therapeutic. I'm in. Now, of course, everyone says, oh, let's just throw in some noise-canceling headphones. Close your eyes for 3 minutes. Who has 2 hours in a day? I think eventually we could scale our 20-minute victories. We could get 6 in a day. I think they're going to find that it's collectively, some silence will work well. I don't think we have to have it all at once. But think about it. They set out, straightforward study. How does music affect a mouse's brain? And what do they stumble upon? It's not the music. It's the space in between the music. Let me see. So if you're a DJ and you decide not to cue one song or another for a second, if your consciousness is the DJ and you go, let me take a minute here. What song should I play? Oh, so it's the space between those thoughts that's the silence. Good point. Now, we've talked before, and I'll be doing a good bit about it coming up in the weeks ahead. We'll talk about the block box, the big chamber that I have, that when I get in and I close the doors, nothing gets through. I mean nothing. Not even Wi-Fi. Nothing. No, nothing. I'm in this box by myself. When I do that, yes, all the other stimuli is cut off, and it is terribly refreshing. But it's also, remember that when you hear something, it's a sense impression coming through your auditory nerves into your mind. So you and I can train our minds through the BEST acronym, through 20-second victories, most certainly through 20-minute victories, to find those gaps. Life between the spokes. So if we want a better life, maybe we turn the volume down a little bit. We're the DJ. We decide. Now, if you want to reach for noise-canceling earplugs, I think that's a great start. Sometimes if you have like a closet, you can just go in and put some earmuffs on. That's another great way of doing it. But remember that ultimately the silence is what your DJ decides to cue up in the space before you let another thought come in. And then, right, the ego takes off, binge thinking, running with that thought, as I said, the Mardi Gras of your mind. Before we do that, in between those two are the gaps. It's the silence. And that's now not only making us healthier, it's making us smarter, and it's giving birth to new neurons. Like the rivets of our brain, the neurons. Insert pregnant pause right there. Just in case you were wondering. A little bit of silence. All right? So let's think about that throughout the course of our day. All right, I want to get on to that. So calming ourselves down leads us to emotional freedom and the malicious mind. We talk about serial thinking. We talk about binge thinking, how the mind, just like a hamster on a wheel, or a speed bag if you're a boxer. All right, thank you very much. Go sit in the corner. I was telling my son the other day about Lenny and Squiggy. He didn't remember Laverne and Shirley, but you get my point. You have these Tweedledee and Tweedledum in the back of your mind. They want to start in. Time out. Go sit in the corner. Go play in the backyard. Go hop the train to wherever. I'll be alone here for a moment, figuring out what I'm going to do next. I'm in charge of my own mind, not you. So when we talk about emotional freedom, that's in fact what I'm talking about. We build that buffer. We have that temporal space. Breathe in, exhale, scan the horizon, take action, think our thoughts, tap into our energy. Use the tea however you like it. But emotional freedom comes, and I realize that now, all the years that I spent arguing politics, all the years that I spent, what about this political platform or that political platform, and, with the 4th of July coming up, independence, it's really important. Then it started to dawn on me about a year ago that big government takes root in little minds. Always trying to control, always trying to come up with rules and this and that. And then it dawned on me. I was the big government, the way I was using my own mind was the regime that I thought I was fighting outwardly, picking fights with homeowners associations because you can't fly a flag, or you can't have a tool shed, or you can't have you need 400 permits to get a hot tub installed, whatever it was. Or you're looking at the state government or national government. Everyone says, oh, there's just tyranny. Well, I woke up one morning and go, there could very well be tyranny. I'm down with that. But you know who's the most tyrannical of all governments? Me, myself, Brian. And that's when emotional freedom, that's when the whole concept began to dawn on me, that we fight sometimes. I don't know, are you guilty of this? If you are, let me know. 331-684-SOUL, 331-684-7685. Let me know. You ever guilty of this? You fight an outward battle, Jung's term. You ever project outwardly onto something because it's a battle that you're having on the inside? Ever do that? Well, for me, I woke up one morning and said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm so worried about outside rules being thrown onto me. How about the rules I'm putting on myself? How about the rule that says I'll let the malicious mind, I'll let the monkey mind, I'll let the hamster wheel mind, I'll let the speed bag mind, I'll let it just keep going. I'll let it just keep pounding me. I'm a pincushion. I'll take a pin, and then another pin, and then another pin, and then another pin. Talk about Mardi Gras. Then one day I stopped. And I decided that that fork in the road, was my mind going to be a sanctuary, or was it going to be an asylum? What was it going to be? People say, oh, Brian, your mind's not malicious. Well, your mind can absolutely be malicious. Taunting you with either future fairy tales or haunting you with past memories. It absolutely can. till you decide that you're the DJ. And you cue up in your own consciousness what you're going to hold on to. So emotional freedom, not unlike silence, not unlike auditory freedom, or freedom from the din and clatter. I call it the static quo. Freedom from the static quo is good for your soul. It's good for your heart. Now it's good for your head all the way down to the neurons. Maybe that's what silence does from us. It's freedom from the constant chatter. I wrote about it years ago. I call it chatterdom, right? Everything going on around us. Chatterdom. But when we calm down, when we tune out, we don't listen to everything going on, buzzing around outside or inside us. When we do that, that's our freedom. That's the ego shield that we talk about, the 20-second victory. It's going to happen. And the better you get, the more it's going to bubble up. Until that moment where you're able to regain control, the ego's going to battle. Because the ego wants your constant attention. It wants you distracted. It wants you outside of the moment. It wants to just keep barraging you with all kinds of thoughts. But when we give our brain a break, we're now learning it's building our cognitive reserve. We talked about yesterday, I believe it was, that if you save some of your energy for those times where you really need it the most, bingo, you're in. The freedom that I was looking for, my own Independence Day that I was busy running around, posting on Facebook and on Twitter and doing all these things. Difference between Democrats and Republicans, the difference between libertarians and all of them, the difference between this party and that party, or this government official do this or this government official. And then it dawned on me. It was all me. It was all me letting the inmates run the asylum, never taking a break. Now, that's not to take away from everything going on outside. I'm simply saying that maybe I recognized it as forcefully as I did because it was me on the inside. So when we want to talk about Independence Day, a true Independence Day. Oh, wow, we broke away from England. Great. What are you doing to break away from your ego? Oh, no, we're having fireworks. Independence Day. Great. So we celebrate the 4th of July because we kicked the crap out of a country that was controlling us. God love us. We beat England. What are you doing to beat your ego? Well, we became a free and independent group of colonies. Became free and independent states. Eventually a free and independent country. What are you doing in your own mind to become free and independent? The motherland of the malicious mind, if we want to carry this another couple degrees. The maliciousness of the motherland. What are you doing to cut the cord from that part of your brain that's going to do everything it can to hold you down, to keep you back? That's the Independence Day that'll be worth celebrating on the 4th. And if you're listening and you don't live here in the States, same thing. You can look at the 4th of July and go, what is the 4th of July all about? Independence, great. Do you have yours yet? Or are you still worried about being charismatic when you walk into a room? I would say that might be something you want to think about this 4th of July, this weekend. All right, I want to get on the next segment because this one I'm pretty fired up about as well. They say that all kinds of people, and I've gone through the same thing, so no one's better than anybody else. I've gone through the same thing, but all times of people, all types, kinds of people in this country are focused on losing weight, not happy with some of the calories, which is all it is, right? Little packets of energy. Some of the calories that they've packed on, if not pounds in some cases. And then I thought, well, you could use the best acronym in the same way in dealing with that. Instead of constantly telling yourself, no, I can't have that cookie. Want a cookie? Have a cookie. Because doctors are now telling us the moment you go, oh, don't you do that. I watch my youngest sons all the time. The moment you tell them, don't do that. That's the one thing they want to do. Standing there looking at him going, if you throw that toy, no playtime for you. To which he looks at you, responds by whipping the toy at you. Right? So it's ingrained in the human mind to do what it's told not to do. But if we get up off our own backs, and in that 20-second victory, ooh, that's a good-looking piece of chocolate cake. And then you go, breathe in, exhale, scan the horizon, then take action. Good, do I really need that chocolate cake right now? Is this life or death? Do I really need that piece of cake? And after doing this for 30 years, I can promise you, you'll go, no, it'd be tasty. It's not going to be a trauma if I don't have it. Which leads me to an article that I found in Science Daily. Title of the article, from Frontiers. They're taking it from Frontiers magazine. Title of the article, Thinking I Can Do Better Really Can Improve Your Performance. Study finds. The summary, telling yourself I can do better can make you do better at a given task, a study has found. Now here's the deal. This study was done on over 44,000 people. 44,000 people. And depending upon where you live, that could be bigger than the entire city, the village, the hamlet, the town, whatever it is that you live in. 44,000 people. That's a boatload of people. So they canvassed these 44,000 people subject to this test to see what motivational techniques really work. Oh no, we can't find what really works. What'll happen to all of our potions? What'll happen to all of our self-help industry tactics? What'll happen to the big business and the motivation industrial complex if we found out what really works? Quote, telling yourself, I can do better, can really make you do better at a given task. According to the article published in Frontiers in Psychology, over 44,000 people took part in an experiment to discover what motivational techniques really work. Quote, in conjunction with a particular lab, Professor Andrew Lane and his colleagues tested which physiological skills would help people improve their scores in a particular online game. So, because we're running out of time, let me just get down to the bottom. Quote, people using self-talk, for example, telling yourself, I can do better next time, performed better than the control group in every single portion of the task, end quote, except for the 5 other everys. That wasn't them, that was me. Quote, the greatest improvements were seen in self-talk outcome, and then parentheses it says, telling yourself, I can beat my best score. Greatest improvements were seen, self-talk process, telling yourself, I can react quicker this time. Imaginary outcome, imagining yourself playing the game and beating your best score. Imagining yourself playing with a quicker reaction time than last time. What'd they find? This stuff really works. Not all the mashugana, all the craziness, all the rest. Just say to yourself, breathe in, exhale, scan the horizon, talk to yourself, take a deep breath. Don't let the brain go, oh, you weren't fast enough. I told you weren't going to be fast enough. I knew you weren't going to do it. You're a loser. Breathe in, exhale, send the ego to the corner, and then say to yourself, nah, I can kick the crap out of this. Let's go. Tee it up again. And then the tee, oh, look at that. Tee it up again. Say to yourself, I can crush this. Then tee it up. Let's do it. So maybe, just borrowing from this, we have a breathe in, exhale, and then the S and T in this situation can be self-talk. Scan your horizon and take action. Breathe in, exhale, self-talk. So nope, I got this. I see how I could have been better last time. I'm going to go ahead and incorporate that now. 44,000 people. And I just want to mention this last part. It says that, quote, over 44,000 people participated in the study. An astounding number, considering that the majority of psychological experiments have fewer than 300 participants. The participants were divided into 12 experimental groups and one control group. Also impressive, because most of the studies have 2 or 3 experimental groups. So these guys wanted to make so sure that this was going on. 44,000, all kinds of the parameters for the test. This test crushed it. And what does it say? It says, stop the mashugana, calm down all the crazy voices in our heads, and that we truly do. That failures are meant to direct us, not derail us. So if you do something and it doesn't turn out the way you thought that it might, you go, okay, great. What did I learn from this? And then be able to say to yourself, congruently, I can do this. I can cover this. I'll spend the next 20 minutes learning from what I did, right? Our failures don't derail us. They direct us. I'll take direction for the next 20 minutes. And then when you cue me up again, I'm going to crush it. That's just not me talking. Those are the good doctors that are responsible at the BBC lab, the psychological skills intervention study that they conducted, and it's in Frontiers in Psychology. So be nice to yourself. Get off your own back. Be your biggest fan. Be your own best friend. And in that moment go, well, okay, yeah, so what? It didn't work out the way I thought. Talk about anaerobic aphorism, charisma. Just remember who you truly are. Well, the person you truly are would go, yeah, yeah, that didn't work out the way I thought it would. But what I learned from it, again, failure. It's not a decree. It's not a detriment. It just gives you, it doesn't determine who you are. It gives you direction. So what are you going to do? You can say, hey, I'm going to nail it. Bring it again. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Channel your inner Kevin Bacon from Animal House. Bring it. When you say, I can do better, all bets are off. That's charisma. That's how you tie it all together. And it's something you and I can practice every single opportunity that we have. I can do better. Any situation. Any moment in the labyrinth. No matter what happens. That's why there's no dead ends. There's only cul-de-sacs here in the labyrinth. So what? You can't go any further. Turn yourself around and nail it again. And we know now, I can do better because you can. Because you are better. And you and I both know it. All right, sorry, I wanted to get to the fourth segment, but let's just leave it there. We'll, I never get to the benefits of rituals, but we'll make sure Tuesday morning, that'll be the first thing that we do. We'll talk about rituals. But over this weekend, is this the weekend that you decide that you'll be able to say to yourself, no craziness, calm the voices in your own mind, right? Calm all the second guessing, the betting against yourself, the leaving yourself in the back seat, putting yourself second, of literally drawing a line in the sand and go, no, enough. I can do better than this. All right. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. I'll miss a little bit hanging out with you on Monday morning, but I'll be back bright and early on Tuesday. Don't forget, you can hit me at allnaturalbeing.com. Send me an email. I'll send you one back, and we'll go from there. And I want to thank you. My third month now of doing this. I really want to thank you for making us the #1 rated show and inviting me into, well, whether I was going to say your phone, your laptop, your whatever. You're inviting me into your head for an hour when you listen. And I take that responsibility very seriously. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for being along, coming along with me on a ride that allows me to manifest what I believe is my destiny, and that is always never changes, my destiny, to simply remind you of who you already are. Have a fantastic weekend.
You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
Get out there. Bring your own bold. Universe is counting on it. See you Tuesday.
IPMNation.com.